Hey fellow mamas, welcome to the Military Mamas podcast.
We're your hosts, Allison and Tara.
We are both moms who celebrate and support women who balance the demands of military service with the joys and challenges of motherhood.
This is a space for military moms to connect, share tips and stories, and inspire each other. Now let's get started with today's episode.
Hey, so we were just talking about the different stretch marks that we have, and we wanted to share it with you because I think stretch marks are one of those things that are kind of taboo, or people don't want to talk about it because there's kind of like a level of shame when really it's normal. And at the end of the day, it's just, scars from growing a baby, or bodybuilders get stretch marks all the time. I actually have had stretch marks on the inside of my thighs and a little bit on the side of my hips when I started putting on muscle mass. Like, you can get stretch marks for lots of different reasons, but most of the time they come from pregnancy and stuff like that. So we wanted to just talk about our experiences. I can go first. So like I said, I already had some, but they were basically white, or skin color, like the ones from bodybuilding, I could never see. Like on my shoulder, like on the inside right here, you can almost never see it. However, the stretch marks I got during pregnancy were completely different. They started off really kind of reddish, I would say, like a dark red blush color. And I noticed it around my hips first, around 7 months pregnant. And at the time, I had known that stretch marks were genetic, but I was I think I might have didn't get that one because my mom has a lot of stretch marks, and so does my grandma and all that. But I was I don't know, I'm 7 months, I haven't gotten a single thing. And then around, like I said, 7 months, I started to get, it came as a little dot on my hip, and I was what is that? What is that? And it's that's a stretch mark. And I just remember lubing up basically my body, oils, lotions, shower rubs, masks, everything. And then towards the end is when your baby's, starting to get bigger. And so naturally, that's when a lot of stretch marks are going to become prevalent.
I think it's a pound a week, right?
Yeah.
The baby's gaining, so you're growing.
Yeah, and Esme was 8 pounds. And so that's when I started noticing mine, and then it just came like that. By the time I birthed, I had stretch marks from my lower abdomen up to my belly button. And so they were a dark reddish color, like I said. And there's such a shame, this is so ugly. And I guess I was kind of vain too. My first unit was in Hawaii, and so I was constantly in a bikini, and so immediately I was oh my god, I'm gonna look weird in a bikini. Especially when okay, maybe I tighten up and my loose skin isn't that bad, but these stretch marks, you're gonna see them type thing. And so I actually remember talking to you hey, did you ever experience this? Is there anything I can do to help it? Because I've got big stretch marks. I've got a little on my hips, mainly on my belly, and I actually have some around the outside of my boobs, because your boobs also grow a lot too, especially when your milk comes in overnight and grow super fast. And so I just remember seeing them, and I'm oh my gosh, my body is so ugly now. And they were so dark, so red. And so yeah, I had to ask you what do you do, blah blah blah, and you had said chill out, they're gonna fade, over time. This is probably the worst they'll look, but over time they'll fade in color. And so we had talked about that then, but I'll let you talk about your stretch mark experience before we go into other stuff.
Well, I didn't get any thankfully on my belly or anything like that. I also did exactly what she was doing, lubing up. I was doing oils and everything. I already use a lot of lotion, every time I get out of the shower. I have very, very dry skin, so I already have a lot of lotion and oils and stuff. But I didn't get any on my belly, but I did get them on my boobs when my boobs grew when my milk came in, because they grew so fast in that short period of time that it just stretched. I'm the president of the Itty Bitty Titty Committee. So before pregnancy, I had no boobs, and then you go right after you have a baby and your milk comes in, those things blow up. You look like you just had a boob job. They're just temporary, unfortunately. But I got mine around my nipples going up my boobs. So same thing that you're talking about, the skin color, but you can see it. It's a lighter, mine's a lighter version of my skin color. But I use there's stuff called bio oil.
Yeah, you put me on that.
Yeah.
That stuff smells amazing. I love the smell of that.
It smells good. It feels good.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not a doctor, so please take it with a grain of salt. This is just what I did, but there's these they look like a little torture device, but it's called a derma roller, and it's just you very lightly roll it over your skin, and it's supposed to break down the scar tissue.
It's got little tiny needles in it.
Yeah, and because, your stretch marks are just scars basically, and so if I use the bio oil, and also my stretch mark scar was really, it's pretty crazy. They can be pretty gnarly sometimes. So mine's probably I don't know, 6 or 7 inches long along the bottom of my belly, and I would just do the derma roller and the oils, just making sure your skin is hydrated. What is that?
The gua sha.
Yeah, those, doing a scar massage, especially if you're C-section postpartum. That you can look up a scar massage and see a bunch of different techniques. Don't start it until your scar's healed,
right.
way healed. But there's a lot of things that you can do, and I know that probably a lot of women have think the exact same thing about. I have them on my from just gaining weight and stuff.
Yeah.
So it is something that you can be super self-conscious about, but don't beat yourself up about it, because you did something, you created a human being,
right?
And that means more than anything. But we all love to look good. I think it's not a bad thing. It's not something that, that's in vain or whatever. I think it's good. You want to look good, you want to feel good, you want to do good. So, those are just some things that I used. I don't know, did it help you when you
Yeah, it definitely helps. At the same time, I don't know what was just time or what was the oils and the derma rolling, but it definitely faded. They're really slightly darker than my skin tone right now, and I'm 6 months postpartum, and so I can't imagine what years and years could do to it. But I think the biggest thing is a lot of that, when the gua sha, the oils, the derma rolling, all that, the idea is it's breaking down some of the scar tissue, and I think it can help, but don't think that it's going to completely erase, your scars. I know that there are some super invasive options like lasers and stuff like that to try to help with that. I would say do your research and, take what you can with a grain of salt, because how much is that really gonna help it, or how much is it gonna look worse? If you remove a tattoo, it looks pretty rough, all that scar and stuff. So it's what's it gonna look like? But ultimately, I think, like you said, we all want to look good and feel good, and so I think if you want to do something to try to help aid it in fading or whatever, feel free, but also don't feel like you have to look good. That's something I'm coming to terms with, if especially the scars on or the stretch marks on the side of my boobs. I'm now I have ugly boobs, oh my gosh. And it's just coming you know what these puppies did, they grew triple in size and they gave life to something, you know? And so just putting the reasoning behind it, I got these because I grew a baby in my body, and I didn't have a lot of elasticity in my stomach, and my belly grew super fast. And so just telling myself hey, this happened because of this, not because you ate 17 pizzas in a week, there is a difference. And so I have to tell myself that, I literally have to tell myself, stop bullying yourself. You know what I mean? If I ate 17 pizzas and got the stretch marks, that's a different conversation, in my opinion. But also it's once you're starting to get the stretch marks, you not are behind, because it's never too late to start using and doing a massage and keeping your skin hydrated, but you want to do it from from the beginning to keep your skin hydrated. Don't wait till you're big.
As your skin is growing and stretching, it needs that hydration to get that elasticity. So you just want to have a good practice, and it's hard, especially if you have more than one kid. Maybe the first kid you didn't get stretch marks, but the second one you did, or whatever. Just try to carve out that time to just put a little bit on before you go to bed, or do a massage all over.
After the shower is great, because your pores are open and all that, and your skin's clean, and so. But it's also
it smells good, so it's just relaxing.
Honestly,
it's nice to just massage your tummy every once in a while.
Especially when you're pregnant, because like when I started getting like really big, I could feel my skin like actively like ripping, like stretching, and it was so uncomfortable, and it would like itch,
itchy.
And like it burns. And so I know everyone says like don't scratch it because that can make it worse, but it's so uncomfortable. And early pregnancy, you feel like garbage. You're like, I'm not lubing up my belly, like I feel disgusting, you know. But it really does. I think it helps. I do think though, like, you know, there are studies on it. It is genetic. And so if you're predisposed to have stretch marks, like you better be lubing if you're thinking about trying to get pregnant, like to try to help it as much as you can.
Yeah.
But just know at the end of the day too, the color of your stretch marks, where you get your stretch marks, how big they are, a lot of that is kind of predetermined for you. And there's little you can do about it. And your stretch marks might be brown or one color, and someone else's might be pink,
red or white. Yeah,
it's different, and that's totally normal too. There's nothing wrong with you. But yeah, I think there are so many good lotions out there and stuff like that. And it won't do you any bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
you're a rock star, whether you have stretch marks or not. Like it doesn't matter. And like I know it sounds cliche to be like, oh, embrace the woman that you've become, embrace your stretch. Like it's hard. Not everybody wants to embrace it. You know what I mean? So, but you can do things like trying to come to terms with it or whatever. And then also like just viewing it. Okay, I have a scar, and this is good scar care. And like, this is, if I do this over time and I remain consistent with it, it could possibly like lessen the visibility of it, maybe not take it away fully, but make you feel more comfortable about it. And it's okay. And it's okay not to like how you look. Like it's okay to, I would say don't continue that way, but you know, just take a breather, give yourself some grace, try some of these things. 'Cause like it definitely, I did see results in my C-section scar on the first one. I haven't, like I said, I have 2 kids, and this time I haven't really remained consistent. And I do see, like, I'm the type of person that scars like pink, you know, and what is it called? It's like a bumpy. It's not like a smooth scar. It's like it's called something, but I can't remember what it's called. There's like it's raised a little. So, so like I said, I haven't remained consistent, so I haven't done anything to make it like go away or try to work on it, but just give yourself some grace and know that you just did something spectacular. Right. And you're healing and you're recovering, and these are just some things that could help if you wanted to try it. Yeah, and help over time, you know, don't look back a week after you gave birth and like, oh, I still look the same, you know, and it's like, yeah, honey, it's going to probably take some months/years to see a drastic difference. I think, especially physically, when you see yourself every day, it's hard to notice the changes, but like take pictures. Like I take pictures of mine, and I'm able to look back like the day after, like I gave birth, I was like, wow, there's such a difference. And I didn't even notice it until I looked at these pictures, and that kind of gave me motivation. Like, okay, you know what, this might get a little bit better. I feel a little bit better about myself. And so I think that might help. Just so that way you can track the progress if that's something you care about. Very few people are killing it right after you have a baby. Like if you, I know there's like a lot of people on Instagram and a lot of women who work out and can maintain and can do that, but they are doing a lot more than just getting pregnant and doing regular activity and then having a baby. So if you don't feel like you're bouncing back, just give yourself some grace, because you're not gonna have a baby and then all of a sudden you're back to normal. You're still gonna look like, after you have a baby, you're still gonna look like you have a baby in your belly. Like you're still gonna look pregnant, and then like days after, you're gonna look like a deflated beach ball, and you're gonna be like, well, like, is that thing gonna go away? And like you touch it and you're like, why is it squishy? And why is it doing, like, why don't I look normal? And it's all, what you're going through is normal. It doesn't, you don't feel normal, but what you are going through and the recovery time is normal. So you really, really just got to give yourself some grace. And it's not something that's going to happen overnight. Like I've never had like a body dysmorphia type thing until until postpartum. Now I know how it feels, you know, because before I'm like, well, what do you mean you don't like the body? Like, what do you mean you don't feel normal? And it's like, you don't feel normal, and you might not, comfortable. I mean, and you might not for a while, but it does pass. It is temporary. You will get there.
Right.
Just
And honestly,
grace.
right when you're getting that part of postpartum, you're like, all right, you know what? I'm feeling decent now. You're like, time for baby number 2.
Yeah.
Time to do it all over again. All that progress.
Again.
That's why I want to have all my kids close. It's like, all right, cool. If I just spend 4 years getting all the babies out, I can really recover, heal up, do whatever I need to do just one final time, and then I'm chilling, you know? But you mentioned something, and it brought up a point to my head. I think there's also a misconception that, oh my gosh, if I don't gain like a lot of weight during my pregnancy, like only gain like the 30 pounds, and I work out during my pregnancy, I won't get stretch marks, I won't do blah, blah, blah. Well, I worked out my whole pregnancy, and I gained
up until the day before you gave birth.
I walked every day. I hydrated. I ate okay-ish. I definitely pigged out a lot because I was under the impression at the time eating for 2. That's not the case.
That's not the case.
Yeah. So I ended up putting 40 pounds on, which was like 7 pounds over the recommended amount for like my body. Overall, like I know that's like I could have done better, but it's not as like rough as gaining like 100 pounds or something like really dramatic. But I was kind of under the impression of, oh, I know I'm like predisposed because my mom has a lot of stretch marks, and especially the same exact area. But I was like, I'm gonna work out, I'm gonna do all this, I'm gonna do everything quote unquote right, and I'm not gonna get them. That's not true at all. You can work out as much as you want, but at the end of the day, it just comes down to your body's ability to stretch your skin and grow your skin. If your working out routine is not going to do anything for that, what's going to help is the oiling, the lotion, hydrating, getting enough like vitamin E and stuff, but your workout has nothing to do with that. So if you're like, oh, I'm working out, I'm not doing, like, don't run yourself into a grave when this is supposed to be, you know, a very intense time physically because you're growing a baby. Don't push yourself into a dangerous limit because you're trying to avoid stretch marks, because that's not possible. In case no one
if you're
told
gonna
you.
get them, you're gonna get. Yeah, if you're gonna get them, you're gonna get them. That's you know.
Yeah. So just wanted to let you know that, and like we were saying, like, you know, it's a normal part of it. I think it's okay to not like them. I think it's okay. There's people that say you should love it. You grew a baby, like you homed a baby, and like, yeah, I did, but you know, I don't like it, and that's totally okay to say that. And I think more people need to own up to that. Like, yeah, I don't like this. You know, yeah, I grew a fucking baby. I'm amazing, but whatever. You know.
Yeah. If you, I don't know, I don't know how to do the linking stuff, but we can figure out how to put like some of the stuff that we've used, and that way you can reference it later. And then if you have anything or have any tips or want to add on, you know, just let us know.
Absolutely. And if you have any questions too, feel free to shoot it this way. But I think that's it for now. Thanks for sticking around. Be sure to watch the next episode. Bye.
Bye.
As a reminder, this podcast is not endorsed by the DoD, and everything talked about here is just our personal experiences and opinions.
We are also not medical professionals.